Hear the blues are calling.
Calling,
Toss
toss
salad.
and salad.
Oh my god, we had tossed
Scrambled
salad and
eggs.
scrambled eggs tonight.
Holy shit, we did!
I didn't even realize.
Frasier.
Is Mr. Crane with us?
I got you pegged! Is that what a Frasier sounds like? I've never seen it.
That's exactly what Frasier sounds like in the hit show Frasier.
Ah, Seattle.
Oh no, I don't know what to do with those tossed salad and scrambled eggs. They're calling again.
Welcome to Dread and Breakfast.
Let's do like an
Let's do
actual.
it again.
Just get it clean.
I got you pegged. Hey everybody, welcome to Dread and Breakfast.
Welcome. This is the energy we're coming in with. Welcome to breakfast.
Hello. So I'm Marissa. Welcome to the breakfast episode.
Hi, Marissa. I'm Jacob. Thank you for welcoming me to the breakfast episode.
Hi Jacob and Marissa, I'm Fob. Marissa, thank you for welcoming me to the breakfast episode. And Jacob, thank you for introducing yourself before me in the breakfast episode.
Hi, Marissa,
Oh
Jacob,
my
and
God.
Bob. I'm Christine. Thank you, Marissa, for welcoming me to the breakfast episode. Thank you, Fabrice, for introducing yourself before me. Thank you, Jacob, for introducing yourself before Fabrice and me here on the breakfast episode. That's not usable.
It might
That's
be.
100% usable. What are you talking about?
I felt like I was in an alternate version of the bop it, twist it.
We're playing Audio Simon right now, friends. Welcome.
So what this episode is supposed to be is our behind
Utter nonsense.
Certainly some of that, but it is our behind the scenes welcome. Step into our have a seat at our cozy little table. We have a candle lit for you. We have some toasted almonds, and this is where we discuss the behind the scenes of our most recent story, which is the Broken Yolk, which Christine fucking incredible.
Very good job.
When I tell you, I could not physically sleep,
Oh,
after
good.
several sessions because I
Oh.
was just staring up at the ceiling, reeling. Incredible job.
Thank you
Holy
so much.
shit.
Thank you.
Oh, and before we go any further, this should go without saying, but if you have not listened to all of our second story in our second season, The Broken Yolk, please go do that. There are going to be massive, massive spoilers, and it's such a crazy ride. You just need to hear it for yourself before you hear us talk about it. So go do that.
Yep.
Agreed.
It has been a while since I've DM'd, and in the meantime, I have listened to hundreds of hours of actual plays, and we have learned more about our table dynamic. And so my main goal was to really just level up as a DM, and I feel like
Mission
humbly
Yeah.
I've
Nailed
achieved
it.
it.
Yeah, you sure did.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I have been writing what eventually became The Broken Yolk since February of 2021, I think.
That is
March, maybe.
bonkers.
It was
Wow.
right after we got done recording Kalamazoo that I was like, a diner might be a nice place to set a dread. It was right after we had gotten vaccinated. So maybe it was April or May.
yeah.
And we went to a diner specifically because we were like, we can be in the world now.
We can go out.
And eat eggs.
And eat eggs. And so we were in a diner and I was so delighted and I was like, how can I fuck with this delightful experience?
I'm having a good time with my friends. How can I
How can I ruin it?
scare them?
Oh my God.
That's very good, Christine. I think you did a great job with that.
Thank you.
Oh,
yeah,
you sure?
That was delightful. Christine, what did your process look like in prepping for the Broken Yoken?
Broken Yolk.
That's just what I call it.
Well, from a writing perspective, it changed so much. I have two documents that I've been working from. One is literally called Haunted Diner Catch-All. And It is about 40 pages long.
Jesus
Holy
Christ.
Too many pages.
shit.
And it's literally just like, as I would research and pull in a thing or build a character or write a monologue or like think about
Gotcha.
mechanics, like I would date it and then like write all whatever was in my brain.
Yeah.
And like literally through this document, I can trace like how things developed and
That's really
shaped. And I
cool.
have stuff crossed out that
That's
I
awesome.
got rid of. And then there's some entries that are like, wait, no, this is what this means. And I'm like, like a mad scientist or something.
I love that.
Originally, when I wrote the skeleton of the idea, it was not within the context of where we ended up going for the season. So it was actually going to be like I think initially it was like, you are trapped in the diner and there's like a scary cryptid outside that's like a dog form of something that's like trying to get in. And then you have to like battle against it and like trapped in the diner kind of thing.
That's so funny that you say that, because in episode 1, like when Josie went to take out the trash, I dead ass thought that that's what was going to happen, is that she would be locked out and we would be like penned in or some shit.
Interesting.
I did think that was going to happen.
Interesting. So then we initially brainstormed that we wanted the season to happen like in the same place. And so it then became a tale of, okay, there are these poltergeists at the diner and everyone is like seeing and experiencing things, but the source of the poltergeist at that point in that draft, it was like going to be a water contamination thing. And so you would have found like a trail of mysterious mushrooms that led into the forest, or there'd
that's
be
cool.
some like
Oh.
leftover environmental contamination, something or other. And so then like as you were drinking water and eating food and stuff, like intaking that
that's
chemical.
cool.
So then Beck, who's new on the scene, would show up and not be experiencing any of these things. And that would kind of be the like
Oh, wow.
The clue as
how
to
you'd figure
what-
out
yeah.
that it's the water.
Yeah.
That's fun.
But then we decided on our lore for this season, and I was amazed at how a lot of the key beats that I wanted to hit just like fell into place. Or we'd be brainstorming and somebody would say something really innocuous like, wouldn't it be funny if blah, 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 blah? And I'd be like, they don't know that fits in perfectly with what I already have planned.
You mean the part
Oh.
where Ron and Lita were telling a fun, spooky anecdote about how the diner was built on property that mysteriously burned down? And
Yeah,
then
that was-
flash forward a couple episodes and the whole fucking diner burns down.
Yeah, that was delicious. Also, I realized that like if you didn't know, you'd think that I would have been like, now I'm going to incorporate that into my story. But like the diner was always going to burn from the first draft.
Really?
Okay.
There was never a way out
Really?
without the diner burning down.
Oh my gosh.
Terrifying.
Can we jump to the ending though? Because like
Yeah.
I think I just stared into the Discord camera for like 10 full minutes after you're like, okay, the end. And I was like, what?
Oh yeah, that goes against everything you hold dear to yourself, Marissa.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean?
What do you mean?
You need to know. You need the wrap up. You need the.
Oh, I love lore
you-
shit.
yeah, you need to know. Like it just like done. That's your hell.
It is. I hate unanswered questions, but it was like so like the whiplash that I felt in the moment was so thematically resonant, and it also made me so fucking excited for like the rest of the season. And like, oh my god, like the diner burned down, but it was there in Witch in the Woods, so I guess it got rebuilt. And like Winnie burned her muffins recipe, so I guess they tried to reapproximate. Like it's just so like it has so many like layers to it that I'm really delighted about. But
Thank
like
you.
talk me through like that decision to end it on such like a resonant, deeply emotional, like chaotic note.
Well, resonant, deeply emotional chaos is like my vibe.
Valid.
So when I think about the type of horror that I am drawn to, it's not so much the like gore or like monsters. Like the thing that really does scare me is the spiritual. And I also find myself more drawn towards like psychological thrillers as opposed to like straight up horror.
Like a slasher flick kind of thing. Like not a slasher flick.
Not a slasher
Yeah.
flick, yeah. And so at first I was like, oh, well, but we do horror and technically thrillers like are cousins, but like not there's going to be like horror purists, blah, blah, blah. But like at a certain point when I was writing, I think it was actually like you ran Spectrophobia, Marissa, and I had the startings of Diner Dread, and it was this like spooky like kind of thing. And you went so hard with Spec that I was like, okay, time to tap into something, because I think I have something deeper than that within me, and I'm just afraid to let it exist. So I swung for the psychological thriller bent. And I think it's just like I've taken in so much of that type of media that it was then easier for me to write that, like write what you know, basically. But I was really, really nervous about leaving it on this note where there are some strings that haven't been tied up, because we do seek to tie up a lot of those strings in the stories that we have told on this podcast specifically. Right. And I knew that like you, Marissa, I was like, Marissa's going to hate this. Oh my gosh.
I liked it. I was just like, but you got to tell me, but what happens? But
Christine.
But the more I thought about it, like, isn't that the real horror? Like, that's how life is. That you get stopped in the middle of a sentence. Your diner burns down. And then your community moves forward with it. And so I was really, really nervous about landing it and having it actually work and not be like and now we're done because I don't know where to go with it. Because that was
that was not the
all.
vibe at all. It felt very intentional, and like as a collaborator in the story that we were telling, and like even like what we all know of like the larger season stuff that will be revealed later, blah, blah, blah. It made me so fucking hyped and terrified. And like I simultaneously wanted to like immediately start editing and also go throw up, like in the best way.
What a compliment. Yeah, I mean, and you hit the nail on the head, like the collaborative aspect of it. I was so nervous because I was writing from my perspective, but the additions that you all brought and I think that it may not be a pretty ending, but every character had like, and here is the end of this character and the chapter is closed, and so I don't think I could have landed that on my own. I think with the addition of what all three of you chose and with your characters, that was what helped me land the plane.
Yes. Which like shout out to Fob and Jacob, because like the player chemistry was fucking so fun. Like I could have like played in this for like a year-long campaign. It was so fun to balance that shit. And I want to talk about characters a little later, but I my notes tell me, Christine, that you may have done research on post burned down diner.
So your girl is a research freak.
Hyperfixating on moths didn't give that away this time.
Yeah, there is so much in this story that like like literally, like I know so much about fire repressant sprinkler systems and the history of how they were developed and like what would have been appropriate for the era. I did research about how ambulances would have been like operated and who would be in an ambulance.
Wait, Christine, did your research tell you that ambulances arrive like 3 hours after you call them?
Well, it was only an hour. Don't besmirch Sandra in this way. I was really worried because I knew I wanted to burn the diner down, but it had made a cameo in Witch in the Woods in some of your narration, Marissa.
Oops.
So I was like, well, crap. Like, is this even believable that like it would be potentially rebuilt? So your girl went and did some Googling, and I did actually find like quite a few instances where buildings that were on like a historical register would go through a fire, and then there would be an effort to salvage some of the wood or some of the material from the building in the reconstruction so that it could maintain its like historical registrations, historical place status. Another really cool thing that I did not seek out intentionally, but just like the universe brought to me. So I was like, yes, I will burn down the diner now that I know this. I was in Chicago and we went to like the architecture museum in downtown Chicago. And there was this whole exhibit about like superstructures with wood framing. So like intense like skyscrapers, like record-breaking sizes that were wood framed.
Holy fuck.
It's really cool. And so there was this one part of the exhibit where they were showing how by like burning some of these timber pieces, it gave them like different structural capacity and like
that's fucking rad.
Yeah, and so it like enhanced it. So they would like
artisanally burn some of the wood.
Our building has been artisanally burned.
Tree brulee.
So I was like, you know what? It's gonna burn. Time to, you know, they say like kill your darlings, burn your diners.
Kill your darlings, burn your diners.
But I think that tracks though, because like you like already laid the groundwork to support that. Like of course they would want to rebuild the diner. Like that's
everybody
like
loves it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I think like it is so easy to draw like a hypothetical from the ending of Broken Yolk to like where we're at in Witch in the Woods. Like of course it's still there. You know, which is so fucking cool. But
Thank you.
in that same vein, can we talk about like the setting really quick?
Yes.
Both like as in Broken Yolk and then in the overall season, because like this shit is so fucking cool to me, you guys. Like I love that we're like building on each other's shit, but like I this time made like a whole fucking timeline and did a lot of math. Mostly just addition and subtraction for years and dates and shit to like figure out like where people would have been in the context of like the history of Spillman that we've laid out so far. And it was like really cool because like in Witch in the Woods, it's present day. Like Eloise and the Witch is like mostly folklore at this point. And then at Broken Yolk, we have a range of generations where like Ron and Lita knew George Spillman, like the founder. And presumably Eloise, you have like Winnie's generation who like her parents would have been Ron and Lita's age-ish. So she like what's the 7 laws of Kevin Bacon or whatever the fuck? Like she
What?
Like, the do you know what I mean?
You're 7 degrees away from knowing everyone in the world.
7
Yeah.
laws of Kevin Bacon.
Listen.
Where the fuck did that come from?
I
I tried to defend you there, and I couldn't think of
our
anything.
episode title.
The 7 laws of Kevin Bacon.
What's law 1? Always eat bacon.
What's
for
law
breakfast.
2? Never
Always
eat
eat
Kevin.
Law 3,
Jacob, we
burn
went in
your
opposite
diners.
directions there.
Completely opposite.
Law 3?
Burn your diners.
Burn your diners.
4.
Always
More
have
bacon.
toast with your bacon and eggs.
That
And
one's
a
5.
Toss salad.
More bacon's 4. Toast is 5.
Toss salad.
6.
Toss salad
6.
6.
Don't forget rule number 1.
Perfect. We got there.
That's rule
That's
number 7.
Rule number 7 is don't forget rule number 1.
Yeah.
Always eat your bacon.
All the best rules are self-referential.
There we go.
Don't talk about Kevin Bacon.
It's just an Aurora Boreas eating its own tail at that point. But so anyway, so like we have like Winnie who like didn't know Eloise, but like grew up like knowing people who did know her, but still has that progression into like, oh, she's a witch, folklore, haha. And then we had Chip who's like, yeah, this is all fucking bullshit. So it was just really interesting to see how those interplays. It just makes me really hype.
Yeah, I'm really delighted because in the character sheets, I gave everybody questions about like to understand like what does your character think or believe about things of the supernatural? Like have you ever had a supernatural experience? And like you all gave me like varying levels of belief and stuff, which then informed how you interacted with like the diner and also to a degree like how you reacted to the story of the witch. And like I just love this concept that we like, this theme that we have this season of how are stories told in a community, how are they passed down through generations. And so I was delighted that we got a really good cross section of seeing a lot of different examples of how that story has been passed and changed and accepted or not accepted.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it before, but like Winnie burning the muffin recipe, but they still exist in present day. How was that like the oral transfer of that recipe? Because nobody's got a record of it. Like,
it's very cool. And on like a very meta like note, we're playing an RPG to tell this story. So we are essentially like referencing a story that we have not told yet. So like, did George Spillman kill Eloise? I don't know yet. We'll see. You
Time
know,
is
it's
a
just
flat circle.
It's so cool. But zooming into like the setting of the Broken Yolk.
Yes.
I fucking want to go there so bad in real life because it just felt so homey and so familiar. And like you just did like all your descriptions in like the first episode, like I was smelling bacon in my living room.
Good.
Like, it was so phenomenal.
I love a good diner. I'm really, really into like classic, like retro diners. And I have just such a intense sense memory about what is a diner. Some other pieces of inspiration that went into that. There's this episode of This American Life called 24 Hours at the Golden Apple.
Yes.
And they just sit down at a diner that's in Chicago that's open for 24 hours and they just tell the story of what happens there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was enamored. I've listened to this episode so many times. And so that's also like a big vibes kind of pull for Broken Yolk for sure. Also Nighthawks by Edward Hopper, that painting of like loneliness and stuff, like not that necessarily anybody, like, I don't know. I kind of feel like that was in a way, like I could see Chip being in that painting.
Only constantly interrupted by
Yeah.
people throwing
Some
pie
idiots.
at him
By
and shit.
goobers.
Yeah. But just like diners, they can be these like homey places that everybody loves in the town. They can be these liminal spaces that are like run down on the side of the road. They can be a maybe potentially dirtier place than you'd like, where bugs fall from the ceiling into your plate and you scream and then they give you your meal for free. So, you know, there are all kinds.
Christina, I wasn't going to mention that.
I
was
forgot.
specifically laughing when you said, "Oh yeah, I had some sense memories," and then I just started like cackling to myself.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but yes.
Oh, that was a wild day, actually. That diner experience was kind of a fever dream.
I got bullied for not ordering food.
You did.
That was when I was experimenting with not having breakfast.
It's a terrible idea.
Eh.
Always enjoy your dread and breakfast.
Just and remember the 7 laws of Kevin Bacon.
Kevin
Always
Bacon.
eat bacon for
Always and or never eat Kevin.
never eat. Yeah.
Yes.
And then
you
5
either
more.
always eat. No, everyone. You either always you fucking
Oh
better
my God.
always eat Kevin,
Or just take a
or
little
you
taste.
never, ever, ever eat Kevin. Those are the only options.
What about a little lick?
I want to talk about the regulars.
Because I got you pegged.
Oh my god. But I want to talk about the regulars really bad. Because
I've slain Christine.
Do you ever find yourself like caught too deep in a bit and the only way out is through?
I have multiple dolls in my house. Let's say.
That's
Or
true.
are they in my house?
Jacob, I swear to fuck if you brought Shadow to Christine's house right now.
So the regulars.
So the
Long
regulars.
intentional pause.
The evolution of, oh yes, they're fun little spirits, to, oh my god, they're poltergeists, to, oh my god.
They're trying to kill us.
What, not even that, but like, are we even talking to the regulars? Like the regulars are something that we thought we understood that we super fucking don't. Like, talk to me
What do you
about
mean?
that. And I know you can't say like a ton because some of that's like will be touched on throughout the season. But
yeah, all is not as it seems.
What do you mean? You mean we couldn't? You mean we weren't able to solve it with happiness and joy? We weren't able to fix it with love, laughter, and positivity.
And
Wasn't enough,
bludgeoning.
Christine?
Whiskey?
And whiskey? We tried.
Despite your most valiant efforts.
Should we have tried harder?
So I thought so deeply about the mechanics from a lore perspective of what is happening in the diner. As I was preparing in my notes, I have written out like, here's the lore of like what is actually happening. And here is the story of what people in Spillman have generally accepted as to what is happening at the Broken Yolk.
Yeah.
Oh, I like
The
that.
two do not line up.
it is not a Venn diagram. There is no overlap.
There's some overlap.
There's a tiny bit of overlap.
Oh, interesting.
There's a tiny bit.
Oh,
but
interesting.
but it was very fun, like as DM, to watch you all start to pick apart the puzzle and like theorize about what was happening, and then sometimes use my shepherd's crook to bring you back from tinfoil hat land because you were really getting off track.
And then,
Now, Christine, what are you
then-
talking about? Can you point to me a specific moment in which?
There was like, Marissa had a theory
Oh,
about
I had a
like
lot of theories.
I think it was about like Josie's parents and like
Oh.
their deaths being because of the regulars.
I
or
thought it was because like there was one point when in like a flashback it was like, yeah, the last time like the regulars like really acted up was right around when Josie's parents died. And I'm like, oh my god, it's a cycle. Like they kill Josie's parents, someone's gonna die. Like it was like so
They're
down
gonna
the
kill
rabbit hole.
Josie.
Yeah.
So I think I plucked you from that spiral
A little
because
bit.
they just like died off screen in a car accident. I don't really know. Like,
I know,
Like the
but this-
parents from Frozen.
yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
And I delighted with like listening to you all trying to figure out what was happening with the D6s. And
Yes, I want to talk about that.
I had so many notes.
What is, like-
I had so many notes.
Well, I think you figured it out to some extent.
Oh,
I think I did.
yeah. Fob was the first one to figure it out.
That's
I
because
was-
every time anyone rolled a number, I wrote down what number they
Good.
rolled, and then I also wrote down everything that happened to that person
Good
for
for
the next
you.
5 minutes.
Good for you.
So,
I'm
Fob,
delighted
what-
that you did that.
What did you figure out?
Oh, the rolls are about how many degrees away from Kevin Bacon.
Oh my god.
But there are 7, and there's only 6 sides on a
You
D6.
can never be 7 degrees away from Kevin.
No.
No, they were about the senses that
Yes.
you we would roll, and then based on our roll, a weird sense thing would happen to us.
Correct. And it was really delightful because just one day I was going about my business and I get this text message from Fabrice that's just, the dice are for the senses, aren't they? In all caps. And I just started cackling to myself.
Oh, that's good. I hoped you would have I hope that would be a happy thing for you.
Yes.
It
yes.
was such a fun mechanic. The thing that I am curious about, and it's okay if you can't tell us right now.
Yeah.
When we were prompted to roll them,
Mm-hmm.
was intentional or like triggered by?
So the rolling, no. The rolling, I will say, so like the idea to like assign senses to the different numbers. Also, I know someone out there is like, but there are 5 senses and 6 sides on a D6. 6 was just DM's choice.
Ooh, very fun.
That makes sense.
It wasn't seeing dead people. That's the sixth sense, right?
That's the
Yeah.
sixth sense. You
Oh,
got it, Jacob.
oh.
Good for you. Jacob, I got you.
I got
I
you.
saw
That
what
was
you were
good.
doing.
That
It
was
was
good
a
shit.
hilarious joke that nobody laughed.
Wait,
at.
wait.
Play it back,
Jacob,
play it back.
rewind.
It's seeing dead people, right? Thank you for this genuine and sincere laughter. Okay, that one was worse.
Are you satisfied?
Never.
But so the reason that I brought that mechanic in, one, in general, I just like sometimes I find myself with dread, like the here's a box, you can do anything with it, nature of it is like really in some ways very exciting and like so cool, and you can go wherever you want with it. And in some instances, I do find myself wishing that there were more like checks and rolls and stuff like other games have, because sometimes like I need a straw to grasp upon.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find a way to like bring in some aspect of that. And I was like initially coming up with a list of like, okay, what are some things that the poltergeist could do that I could sprinkle in as we're playing? And the idea of having to like stay on top of everything and remember when to bring in specific stuff for the poltergeist and choose from this giant list was like really overwhelming to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, well, I'll just like, when we get to a certain point where it's like open play, we'll just do a round robin. Everyone rolls a D6. I then choose a few things from the list, and then I just have to listen for a good place to like plug it in, because there's also mechanics that I had come up with that I can't share at the moment for like what would trigger an interaction from the poltergeist.
Interesting.
So the role was like okay, at the top of a round, everybody roll and then we'll play.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was then listening for specific triggers from each person to understand like when
Oh.
to bring something in.
That's cool.
based
so
on
fucking cool.
whatever sense you had rolled.
That is so
That's fun.
fucking cool.
I like that.
I do, and this is like a very pointed question, but so what we understand to be the regulars and the what we have come to call the irregulars, are they the same thing? You know what I mean? Like, was it just the one thing that we were misunderstanding all along?
So I
kind of.
Beck says this at a certain point, but like poltergeists are not a being.
Right.
Well, I will say, okay, so disclaimer, there's no like standard theory on poltergeists and how they work.
Right.
Which is kind of like delightful for me as DM because I like learned all the theories and then like threw a bunch of stuff in
That's so
there
fun.
according to all these different things. But like the main theory, the psychokinetic something or other,
Yep.
is that like it is an expression of large amounts of like emotional stress or like supernatural stress.
Mhm.
As opposed to there is a spirit with an identity coming around and poking you in the side and
Right.
rummaging through your drawers
And listening to
stuff.
Josie
Mhm.
also.
Yeah. So like the regulars, as the Spillmanites understand them, that is wrong. That is in the
Interesting.
column of this is what the community believes, but it is not really what's happening here.
That's so fucking cool.
So
I'm
like
so
the regulars
curious.
don't exist, but the things that were happening definitely were happening. But we have not learned yet in game what that is or why it's occurring.
Magnets.
You know, Christine
figured
just
it
said that my theory was wrong, Jacob, but she did not canonically say that your theory was wrong.
And she never will.
She never will.
Yeah, maybe it's electron fields that are causing stress and charge and
Sounds like magnet stuff to
Possible.
me.
Sure.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-da-bum. Bow.
But speaking of Beck, I want to talk about Beck
Yeah.
and the NPCs in general because they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
so fun. How did Beck come to be from the ether of your creative brain? Like,
Beck had a really wild original design.
oh,
So I also so Beck as a character originally their design was that they were going to when they arrived they were going to brush their hair away and the like symbol on their jacket was going to say PORCS.
hey, porks
Like-
instead of orcs.
Yes. Because
What is porks?
Pre-oddity research and containment.
the poltergeist observation regime of central Scotland.
Would you have given them a Scottish accent?
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my god.
Amazing.
And so they would have been like a pen pal with Josie.
Oh my god.
And that's how they would know about this diner and all this stuff.
That's
and so,
incredible.
And Josie originally was supposed to die when she went to
Oh.
take the trash out, and then Beck would tragically arrive right after her death.
Oh, that's terrible.
and be like, "I'm here to see my pen pal." Oh God! But in a Scottish accent.
And how would that sound?
I don't know.
That's fair.
Because at a certain point I was like, well, we're done with orcs. That's not going to land. Also, I don't want to learn a Scottish accent. I can do like a middling Irish accent.
And how
Scottish.
does that one sound?
Well, Vivi, you'll have to listen to a future episode of Dread and Breakfast.
Yeah, Jacob, we can't give away all our secrets.
Oh my god.
We could give away some secrets.
Not this secret.
Maybe I have a character brewing that has an Irish accent. You don't
Oh?
know. Maybe I am insane and planning characters multiple stories ahead of myself. It's fine.
That's fine.
That's funny.
But yeah, so Beck's original design was pretty wild.
That's amazing.
I am pleased with what they ended up being. Although I realized that now I have another character who's like a medical expert. Like, here comes First Aid
You're putting
Christine.
yourself in a box.
But that was not originally, that was a reaction to the fact that the hospital had been called and there would be like EMT showing up. Like,
interesting.
Beck was supposed to just kind of like stumble in with the crowd. But then when all of a sudden there was an ambulance that was supposed to be coming, I was like, oh,
Eventually.
eventually they're an
Beck will show
EMT.
That's awesome.
That was
So-
good.
Oh
I like
my
that.
gosh. Also, can I share my my ridiculous headcanon?
Yes,
for
please.
Beck? So I really like to think that back after this, it's decided to stay in Spillman and one day became the mentor to Meredith, and that's why she knows all of the supernatural bullshit in Witch in the Woods.
That's very fun. I like that a lot.
Can I share my further headcanon about them? So then, as they have stayed in Spillman, this place that they had meticulously researched before arriving, they're a history nerd. And as they age in Spillman, had to pick up a hobby or two. And so would join eventually the... what did we call it? The
Spillman
historical reenactment troupe. And so
oh my God.
the town crier is back.
Which
Amazing.
is incredible. Oh my God.
That's delightful.
I think since we're writing it, we can just say that's canon. Approved. Motion? I make a motion?
Second.
Third.
Do I hear a fourth?
And I got you.
All right, the motion passes. Incredible.
Excellent.
You heard it here
It is
first.
canon. You heard it here first, folks.
But I also...
Kaboom.
Sorry.
No, I just made a Kanan sound.
Oh,
Wait, do it again. That was funny.
Jacob said kaboom.
Yeah.
Say
Like
it
a
again.
cannon would say.
Say it again.
No, it passed.
Let's get it clean.
Kaboom. 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 Kaboom.
That was a good one.
I liked the smoky kaboom at the end.
Yeah, that was
This is an award-winning podcast.
No.
Welcome.
Put some spice on it,
No. I've already done more
please.
accents than you this episode somehow.
Do you want to go?
Fight.
Do you want to go, lad?
Oh, there it is.
We did it. Yeah.
Yay.
That was the goal. I
You
did that on
goated
purpose.
the Irish accent out.
I was going for Scottish.
You goated the Scottish accent out.
It's on one of those islands.
The other thing about Beck was that, like, I last season I learned a hard lesson that the DM can lie.
Oh, yeah.
And so then I put that one into play.
Which was so fucking like, and I was so mad because like I fell for that shit hook, line, and sinker. Like I was so like in the moment, like, oh my gosh, yes, of course, poltergeist makes sense. Like reacclimating, and then the fucking moment, like I had like a realization as a player of like with the dowsing rods, which was such a fun fucking scene of like, oh my God, we are not talking to what we think we're talking to. And I just like kept falling into your little trap, and it was just so well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I think like I didn't want to flat out lie to all of you.
Mm-hmm.
So having Beck be this person who is really into research and they know all of the theories and there's no one theory that is the dominant theory, allows them to throw out like
stuff,
what their postulation about what is occurring, but it can be wrong, but still seem like, well, this is our best like this is all we got to go on, so I guess this is what's happening, but secretly it's not.
And
I thought we could save the place right up until we couldn't. And
Yeah,
then it
like-
was like, oh, oh, no. Oh, no.
right,
Yeah.
like because we had all had like such like investment in it and like such a reason to care about like the diner and Josie and like each other as characters. Can we talk about our characters though?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I want to talk about Chip. Jacob.
Hello, it's me.
Jacob.
The player of Chip.
Fucking like also again, two-time Spillman like royalty. Great job.
Yes.
Fantastic with that.
Oh,
Love
yeah.
that.
Yeah. I did
And,
that on
like-
purpose and thought about it the whole time.
But like the scene with you and Eloise and like Chip Jr. like is so like you handled so fucking beautifully. Like,
Thank you.
oh, incredible. What was that like?
Weird. I don't have a son, so to have to tap into
Award winning.
doing that was weird, but I think I got there. I'm glad it worked. Thanks.
I think that it starts in the character sheet, and
Yeah.
you wrote a lot of really good like vignettes about like Chip's relationship to Chip Jr. and like there's something about this like father that's like there in the like lowest common denominator way that that like no one can argue that he's not like the father and like the father figure, but like he's not super engaged, to like him then turning into this person that's literally like going after his son and then like going into a burning building
Yeah, oh my
to save the
God.
people around him. Like that switch from less engaged to incredibly engaged was
Yeah.
very fun to watch you take.
Yeah, that was cool. That felt 50s. That felt appropriate for the time to be like the kind of not absent, but
Detached.
yeah, detached, stoic
Mhm.
father. But he cares.
Mm-hmm.
That felt appropriate, and so then I tried to do it, and it seemed to work.
Yeah, it was great.
Hell yeah.
I liked that you referred to your son as Sonny Boy in
Oh
your
yes,
character
it was
sheet.
That was very good.
Good. It felt appropriate for the time.
Yeah.
And also, like, you did, like, as a player, again, on, like, a very meta level, did such a good fucking job playing into that tasty irony. Because, like, you're like, yeah, I stab Eloise with a knife. We all know that's not how ghosts work, and we all know how this is going to end, but, like, that's what Chip would do.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
Yeah, I definitely remembered she was a ghost, and that wouldn't work. I
Jacob, are you
wasn't
saying-
wrapped up in the moment.
I think you really killed it.
Thanks.
And Chip had some banger one-liners also. Like,
As always with Jacob,
That's
though.
true.
Most of them were magnets.
My favorite moment was when I like did this really long monologue about like how you're becoming a father and you're receiving a message from the beyond, and you pause and just go, that I should impale back.
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious.
That-
incredible.
You said the spirits
Mhm.
tried to step back,
Yeah.
and then you go on this
100%.
long monologue about how the spirits are trying to tell me something. Obviously, how could you not see it? I'm like, okay, obviously I'm supposed to stab them.
I mean, to be
That's
fair,
the most tangible thing they've said.
Yeah.
And you've told me to listen to them. So you've
The spirits
Stab.
have just told me
I
to
wrote down
murder.
stab. I have in front of me the sheet of paper on which I wrote stab.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yes.
I mean, to be fair, they attempted to stab everybody. Everybody had to pull to
It sounded
avoid.
very directed at Beck to me, and it was right when Beck walked in.
That's true.
But you opened the door,
Ooh.
I think.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
But it was very good.
It was a good
Chip
time.
was a
And I
delight.
did get to almost stab.
You did. I mean,
mean,
you got to stab attempt, which really,
Yeah,
I mean, that's like
That's half
that's
of
the
it.
best part of stabbing.
It's the thought that counts.
And you lived.
Yay!
Yay!
Part of the reason why I think Chip was able to survive was like I kind of made him a little what's that called in
Intrinsic.
Disposable?
no like unable to be beat or hurt, invincible.
Invincible.
Oh,
Oh.
yes. That
Yeah.
tasty like witch boon
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, Chip became a little invincible near the end. I wanted that to be like the reward for
Stabbing the witch.
well that
You
and
tried to stab me, man.
Well,
you know
and-
what you need? No one should be able to stab you. You shouldn't know what that felt like.
more so the choice, like you had put Chip Jr. in the car and then like turned
Yeah.
around and went into the burning building, and that like display of like care and obligation for people in your community was like, and here's your reward, you are going to get out of this alive.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Yay.
Hey Jacob, how's it feel to have assurance from God that you'll be okay and make it out of the burning building all right?
It's pretty great.
That's great. I'm
I
glad.
enjoyed it.
I'm really happy that you got that assurance.
Yeah.
Speaking
How did
of-
it feel to die?
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
speaking of someone who didn't get that assurance,
Oh my
Marissa.
God. Oh, I was gonna say you first, motherfucker.
Oh, okay. Well, only half of me didn't make it.
Yeah, how is it playing two characters also?
Hard because they're and really, honestly, only because voices. I'm bad at them.
You're great at
And,
voices.
sure, I'm bad at keeping a singular voice in my head. I don't know that I've ever played a character that had a consistent voice unless it was just my voice.
Same.
Yeah. You know me, everybody, dear listener. You of course know me. I'm Fob. I'm a wild lad. I'm a rowdy boy.
Oh my
I
God.
make 30 pulls from the tower just
For funsies.
for fun.
On a Saturday afternoon.
On a Saturday afternoon. It's a sleepy Saturday. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pull from that tower.
From that tower, baby.
I need
Oh.
to make it rickety. it to wobble.
Ooh,
I
say
need
rickety
people
again.
I need it to be rickety.
Ooh.
I need it to wobble. I need people to just be nervous when they approach it because it could fall. That is fun.
But in that chaos, you brought like so much of like a genuine, like it felt like these people like were together for forever. Like it was so deeply emotional, and like on a very personal note, like we like when we were recording had like recently gotten married, so like every like that whole relationship part of it, I'm just like sobbing. Like, and the part with the fucking vow book, I'm like,
Yeah,
y'all lost your shit about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Amazing.
both of your vows made me want to sob in public.
Aw.
Like,
That's
I was
kind.
gonna freak out when you were like, "Time to burn it."
but the mechanics of like the like you pull twice on your own, like just
Yeah.
added another kind of layer of that
was
like
fun.
stuff, and it was so fun.
I loved brainstorming that together, like a much earlier in the year.
Yeah.
I knew. Well, I kind of always knew I wanted you to play a married couple because like just the thought in my head of you bickering with yourself was so funny that I was like, yeah, that's gonna happen.
I'm so sorry I didn't do that more.
No, it was delightful. Like
Okay.
there were times when like they would say things in unison that would be opposite, or just the way they were speaking to each other. Like I knew it was gonna be funny to listen to, and I think it was fun for you to play as
I had
well.
a good time, yeah.
So like I pitched that idea to you way like before we even I think played Witch in the Woods.
Wow.
And we had a discussion about like what would the mechanics be? How do we make sure that this is fair? Because like that is a lot to ask you to like if one of your characters dies, like pull twice into perpetuity.
And I think I was like, when we were talking about that, one, I was all for it from the beginning, but two, I was even more for it because it's like, in my mind, that fixes one of the inherent, like kind of issues with Dread, where like, oh, someone's dead. Okay, we got a couple free pulls now. We're good. Like even if you do, we usually do, like you reset the tower, but then you make X number of pulls just to make it look kind of wobble again. But I was thinking, well, okay, if one of them beefs it, then the other one has to pull twice, and then boom, we're right back to scary territory, even faster.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fun.
Yeah. And also like the idea of like the help action, for lack of a better term, like that if they're doing it together, you only pull once, but if you're doing it separate, they both have to pull twice. Was also and that was also just my way of like, I could see there like, okay, well I send one person this way and one person that way and we get around, like there are ways to like kind of, that's a huge advantage if you have two pawns instead of just one. Yeah. So I wanted there to be some weight to like, okay, well if you do split them apart, like you can potentially achieve two things, but it comes at a greater risk. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it was fun. And I mean, ultimately it is what did Ron in.
Yeah.
So
I'm still so mad that you went for that stupid fucking recipe
I'm mad that
book.
you burned it after it killed me. I'm mad that you. I was genuinely upset. Because you were like, I was like, okay, I sacrificed myself for this. Okay, great. Oh, sweet. Oh my God, Beck's got it. Okay, it will survive. It's gonna make it out, Marissa. I burn it. I'm like, what the fuck?
As Winnie understood
I
the
was
situation,
seething.
it made sense
so upset.
for her. I don't know what to tell you.
You were already fucked, and you took away the one thing I was trying to do.
At least you got to die outside the diner and didn't get burned up into a crisp. At least your family had a body to bury.
Oh my God, I had to do so much research about what is it like to be in a burning building from like firefighters and like forensic people.
That would give me nightmares.
Yeah, it was intense, and I did it in a coffee shop and I felt like a psychopath.
What a vibe.
Honestly, I think I would also feel a bit like woohoo if that was what I was doing in a coffee shop.
Writing about you becoming desiccated as like everyone's like, coffee. Okay, anyway, sorry.
Marissa.
Yeah.
You also died in a burning building.
I sure
Speaking
fucking
thusly,
did.
How was it to play? How is it playing
Winifred.
Canonically.
That still tears me up.
Christine, you did an amazing job. You let me down in one way.
Air the grievance.
The grievance is you could have made them cross. You could have made Marissa Winifred Binifred.
And then it wouldn't have been calibrated and you couldn't have trusted anything from the
We
rods.
could have, because then we all would have turned on Winnie and been like, that was a joke, Winnie. What the fuck? And it would have been amazing.
I'm sorry I've disappointed you so.
It's okay.
But you know what didn't disappoint? Marissa's fucking backstory.
Oh yeah.
You wrote a novel in your character sheet and it was delightful.
I hyperfixated. Thank you.
Tell us about Winnie's whole backstory.
Oh fuck. I don't know if I remember all of it.
Can you give us the Binny on Winnie?
The Binny on Winnie. Amazing.
Some of it came out in the story, but there's some tasty morsels that I don't know if they like flowed their way in.
Yeah. I felt a little like weird about it because like I did throw a lot of like, oh, like Winnie was born like right around the time that Eloise would have died. And like I think it came up in the story, but like Eloise as a medicinal herbal remedy type of the earth person like helped Winnie's mom through her pregnancy. And like it was a rough pregnancy. It was like the late 1800s, like that was not great, and Winnie's here, so like there was that piece of it, and I was like, ooh, like what does that look like, being like raised in a family that had a more positive view of who
and like
Eloise
a direct
was.
connection with her,
right? And like very much like believed like, oh, this woman had some magic, because how the fuck Winnie should not have like survived, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I think the reason that Winnie was so rude to Chip Bankerton was that when I think it was like after her mom died, like the Bankertons like fucked her out of like the insurance somehow, and so she had this like little beef, not like Chip personally, but probably like your
but
dad.
his line.
Yeah.
His
so like
line.
there was like some of that shit going on. I think there was some shit where like Winnie like was like betrothed, and then her partner like went off to fight in World War I and never came back, so she never got closure, and she was so closed off, and like crazy shit.
And then wasn't it like that those hard times that came after that was when Josie hired her at the Yolk?
Yes. I don't know if it would have been, I think we said Josie, but I think Josie would have been like 2. So maybe it was like her parents.
Her parents.
But like,
maybe.
yeah, you know, like it was shitty, and then she got hired at the Yolk and just never left. And like, it was just really fun to try and place this character in the different eras of Spillman. And then it was really funny because it was like, I threw in some bullshit line in Witch in the Woods about like, yeah, someone from the diner comes to the wake and they bring these muffins. And it's like, oh my God, like Winnie could have made the muffins. And then they got burned. So I'm not sure if those are like the present day's approximation of her recipe, or if she like kept a redundancy somewhere,
she had a
or
second
like
recipe
or
book
something
in a
like
dead
that.
box.
I don't know.
On the back of the picture of Josie's parents,
Is
there's
the
another
muffin
copy.
recipe. But speaking of muffins, I would like to open the door to Christine's kitchen, but now it's Marissa's kitchen because I made the muffins.
She's coming for all your
them.
bits. She's stealing all the bits.
Play the music. Are you hissing?
didn't see it.
Are you hissing at him?
Yes.
No, your cats are all in there.
They just sound and look and act like Marissa until they hiss. Then they're cats.
Are we ready?
Okay.
Bring
Aye,
us
Captain.
the muffins.
Bum, 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 bum.
Make way. Make way.
So what we have is my attempt at the present day equivalent of Winnie's chocolate candy orange peels muffins. And Jacob, because you can't eat chocolate, I have procured this muffin for you.
I can't eat chocolate. I just choose sleep.
And I would love it if you could all describe the muffins in front of you.
Oh my god!
Let's do the chocolate ones first. There are many things that I would have done differently.
If you imagine a chocolate muffin with some candied orange peel on it.
And a chocolate streusel on top of them.
Oh.
We have mood lighting going on, so it's hard to see.
It's true. But yeah, they're made from scratch. I candied the orange peels, which was fun. Please sup and eat. So yeah, it's like a chocolate muffin
Delightful.
with some streusel. There will be pictures somewhere. And Jacob, would you like to describe the muffin that I have for you?
Imagine you bought a muffin at a grocery store.
Yeah.
And then
What kind of
drizzled
muffin,
it
Jacob?
in either caramel or blood. The lighting's not great, so I can't tell.
Let's get a flashlight
Is
on
it
that.
it's a blueberry muffin?
Blueberry lemon, yeah.
Ooh, blueberry and
Like
lemon.
the blueberry muffin that Chip had.
I just shone a light on this, and it did not elucidate to me whether or not that is blood or caramel.
It's technically like fancy cherry juice that I thought would be more red than it actually is. Blood
But
was
you know
the
what?
vibe.
But you know what?
Blood was
They still couldn't. They could not tell.
Tweeting that.
They could not tell if it was blood or caramel.
Yeah,
so.
but please, everyone sample your
So
muffins.
Jacob, sup of the
Sup
blood.
of your muffins.
Sup of the
It's probably
blood
not blood.
fin.
Oh my god! Jacob just full shoved that in
pretty
his
good.
face.
It's got some blood goo in there in the
Oh
middle.
my God, Marissa!
It is filled with some delightful apple cranberry jam
It's very good.
in homage to the blood muffin.
Yeah, the guts.
The bluffin?
The Blood Muffin would be a really good band name, like the Blood Muffins.
Oh, that's very good. That's good. But yeah, please, for those of you who partake in chocolate and orange.
I'm so happy. Chocolate and orange is one of my favorite flavor combinations.
Oh, I see. I'm a little. I think they're okay for a first attempt. It was very intimidating to me to be like, oh, let's approximate a recipe that an old man literally died for. So the bar was set pretty fucking high.
These look delightful.
Thank you. Yeah, there's orange juice and orange zest. I subbed out some of. Oh God, is that good? Oh, good. Would you die for this muffin?
I think I would.
Oh, fuck yeah. But the recipe called for orange zest. I added in some of the candied orange peel to that, and then also like had a little bit in the batter. I would have added a little more streusel, but I was afraid of it. Bless you.
Thank you. Apparently I have allergies.
Oh no, rip.
This muffin is so good. I'm so happy.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of like you get hit with chocolate and then like the orange very like sneakily like comes in at the end there for like a
I
nice
get that.
refreshing. Well, you shoved a blood muffin in your face, my dude. Like I don't know what else to say about that. But yeah, this is not a cursed kitchen by any means. It was just very fun to kind of like.
Hold on.
Oh, that's edible.
You don't get to feed my best man a blood muffin and say, all right, guys, this wasn't a cursed kitchen. Moving on. Star wipe. You don't get to do that.
Did you ever think the roll of a D6 would lead to this?
Yes.
But no, it was just kind of a fun exercise to step into Winnie's shoes of like, how can I tweak this? The recipe is a combination of like 3 different ones I found online, and I'll link them all in the episode notes if you're curious and write up the whatever this became. But yeah, signature muffin of the Broken Yolk.
Delightful.
Winnie's
Yay.
Shoes, also a good band name.
Winnie, that's pretty good.
Winnie's shoes?
Winnie's shoes.
It's like a ska band, I feel like.
Or like
Or punk.
like Midwest emo.
Ooh.
Thank you for making these muffins.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you for
thank
eating
you for
these
cursing my
Woo!
muffin.
It's always
Anytime.
it's always a delight when things from the fictional zone become manifest.
Right? Yeah.
Speaking of these muffins, somebody who maybe ate the muffins, Josie.
Josie, I think I mentioned this, but like Josie was supposed to die in very early drafts, and then like her voice would be like haunting throughout the diner. I also, in a very early draft of your like character, Jacob, I had like written a potential beat where like your character would like instantly fall in love with Josie.
Whoa.
Weird.
And then it just like totally was opposite. Chip like couldn't even remember her name, and but her voice, like I consulted with people I know and love who live in the southern United States to like pick a specific like dialect for her. She's somewhere in like the Tennessee and or Houston range. There's like this really specific video that I don't know if anyone is going to catch this reference, but there's this video of a Beyonce concert.
Oh my God.
Where there's this like super fan who's like giving her his like driver's license, and she's like,
whoa,
you're my cousin, he's my husband. And like and then she goes, what's my name? And he goes, say my name. And anyway,
oh my God.
but like, so that like, he's my husband, you're my cousin, like that kind of like influence, like not 100%, but that definitely like there is a flavor of Beyonce in Josie unintentionally. And it wasn't until her voice came out of my mouth that I was like, Beyonce?
Is she in the room with us? Fom, you were so fucking suspicious of Josie, like from the beginning, and that rubbed off on me because I'm like, this bitch is gonna fucking get us all.
It sounds like you're not blaming me for something. That maybe
Not blaming.
I'm feeling some accusatory energy.
Suspicion is contagious.
Well,
Why were you suspicious of Josie?
she sounded intimidated. She was just like, oh, don't worry, hon. These ghosts aren't going to murder you. Oh, I can control the... Don't fear me, children. I just command the spectre. There is nothing to worry about here. Nothing sus about this person. Just the spirits bend to my whim. If I asked them to embed a knife in you, maybe they would.
That's just called Southern hospitality.
Embedding
the
a knife?
Yes.
When did
the knife is there.
she never caused a knife to be embedded in anyone?
No, but if she had asked, if she had commanded it from the spirits.
If Josie had commanded the spirits, the wheels are turning about the mechanics of how this all works.
Sure.
I don't think that would have worked, actually.
Interesting.
Okay. Interesting. Listener, that's for you to figure out later how that makes sense.
Like, I don't think she would ask for that just
Well, no, I
because
don't
like
think
she's
that
trying
she
to
would
keep her
now.
diner running.
Well, yeah.
But if that ever did occur, like there'd have to be like a lot of extenuating circumstances for that to work.
Okay. Again, listener, you can try to puzzle that out. I guess starting now. Start red string brigading this. It can be solved. We gave you all the clues.
Oh my God.
We really did. Well, maybe not all of them.
No, not
I
all
don't
of
think
them.
about all.
Enough.
We gave you quite a few clues.
We gave you at least one clue.
And
it was this
more.
sentence that
More
we
are
said earlier.
coming.
Ooh. The other thing that I had meta rattling around in my brain was that, like, I think on at least 2 occasions, Christine, you were like, guys, I'm going dark with this story. And I was just like, okay, all right. So I know that going in, that's like instantly no one can be trusted. And then it's like, oh, here's this like sweet person who like just wants to be a nice, good person and give all of us a good time. And then it's like, okay, so she's gonna kill us, right? Like she's gonna,
yeah.
So that was,
yeah. They're definitely like, we started out in the like spooky kind of space, and then like devolved into something very dark. I don't know. Did it read as like incredibly dark by the end?
Parts of it definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I listen to true crime podcasts for fun. So
Well, yeah. So there's that.
kind of depends on like on it was now on a spectrum of dark, and just how dark on that spectrum is sort of up to personal taste.
That's fair. Yeah.
I think the part with Chip Jr. being in danger like tipped it a little bit
Yes.
for me
Yeah.
because
Yes.
he was a child.
When I wrote that part of monologue, like that gave me a fright, and I wrote it myself. And when we
Oh, that's
played
cool.
through it, I felt weird about it, which is why I felt like we needed to have that content warning at the beginning of the episode, because it's a child, and like felt a little odd about writing in like violence involving a child.
Yeah.
But then it instantly was healed. So
Right.
But I think one thing that I learned from the process of like, okay, so maybe it's not like the darkest thing you've ever experienced, but definitely was very dark for me and where I tend to like exist. There's a value to allowing yourself to explore that darkness in like a fictional sense where like we have our safety tools in place, that's part of the reason why I was like, we're going to go really dark on this. Like, feel free to call pause if you need, or like we can backtrack on anything. Like, having a safe place to explore that darkness, like, I don't know, like I think we all have that darkness in us somewhere, and to deny it or ignore it, I think is misguided in a way to be like, I'd never have any darkness.
Right.
And so like I learned about myself and about being more confident in the work that I make by allowing myself to work with
explore the space
content.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yay.
You had one more thing about Winnie.
Oh, one other thing that just delights me. The initial character inspiration for Winnie was the waitress from Emperor's New Groove.
Excellent.
Amazing.
So some of that definitely came into what Winnie became.
Oh my
God.
That's so good.
That's so dumb. I love it.
Yeah.
I love, you sent me a message at one point and you were like, how do I make it sound like I've smoked a pack a day for 30 years?
That's true. And then I ended up getting very ill. And the one episode you can definitely tell I am very ill is the one episode I had to cough a lot. So it really worked out.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
Very
it worked
fortuitous.
great.
You timed that perfect.
Yeah.
Yay.
If there was ever a time to get sick for the podcast.
Honestly, I would like to be able to make it through one story without being ill for recording it. So
It'll
we'll
happen. I believe in you.
Thank
I also
you.
believe in you. Stop getting sick.
I'm working on it. But speaking of future stories,
Ooh.
who will be running our next adventure in Spillman?
Who can say?
I think you can say, my dude.
I was going to just leave it at that. And
Oh.
then the listener could be like, oh, he said. And then they could red string. I told them to red string brigade earlier. I wanted to get their hats.
Just their hats.
Just their hats.
Send us your hats.
Listeners, send me your hats. I won't wear them. I'm very particular.
Send us a selfie of you wearing your tinfoil hat.
Ooh.
There you
Actually,
go.
I really do want that. Please
Yeah,
do.
that sounds great,
do
actually.
that. Hey, guys, everyone, tinfoil hats.
Assemble.
Send them to us.
Wait. 3, 2,
Two,
1.
Eggs.
Eggs.
But yeah, so Fab, you will be running story 3. Is there anything you want to tease? Any breadcrumbs you would like to leave?
Hansel and Gretel us.
Give me like one word. Give me like a 1-word teaser.
Ooh.
Ooh, a one-word teaser?
Yeah.
And say it in like a really chiding, like condescending voice. Because you're teasing.
All right.
Oh no.
Dirt.
Ooh.
Crime?
That's more words than we request.
Dirt crime.
Dirt crime.
Coming to a town near you.
What a title.
Which town, I wonder?
Is that the name? Is it going to be like Dirt Crime 19 whatever?
Dirt crime. It's Dateline before Dateline.
Oh my god.
Welcome to Dirt Crime.
Dun dun. Executive producer Dick Wolf.
Not Kevin Bacon?
No, Kevin Bacon was a star.
Potentially eaten or not.
Never eaten.
Always eaten.
Well, on that note, thank you so much, Christine.
Thank
for
you.
such a
Yeah,
killer
Christine.
story.
Lovely time.
Thank you,
you.
Marissa, for blood muffins.
You're welcome.
And for regular muffins.
There's so much more of them if you want to keep some.
I do.
Oh, perfect. Excellent.
Hello, dear listener. This is your friendly fob speaking. Be kind to yourself. You're great. I love you. Now
Aw.
also, go to bed. It's late.
Drink water. Don't forget to drink water.
Don't forget to drink water.
Don't go to bed if you're currently driving.
That's true.
Well, no, drive to your bed and then get in.
Drive
it
your
and go.
car into your bed.
No,
No, Christine, that's not what I said.
If you have a car-shaped bed, go to
Ooh.
bed.
Perfect.
And you're super cool.
Only if you have a car-shaped bed. If
Race
you
car
don't have
bed. Race car bed.
Race
Vroom,
car bed.
vroom.
Good
We're
bed,
driving
man.
off into the sunset. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
This episode is sponsored by the Pitter Patcher of Kitty Feet, who have been running around us all recording. Hello, Christine's cat.
Zoomies. Thank you for listening to Dread and Breakfast. Real talk, this story was so freaking fun. I am so delighted with how it turned out. I hope that you all really enjoyed it. It was a big swing for me, and I'm just really, really pleased and happy. It was so fun to make. So thank you. Thank you for listening to it. It really, truly means a lot. Thanks to Eli Schneider for composing our breakfast theme song. It's a classic. You can find links to more of his music in the episode notes. A full list of our sound credits and content warnings are also linked in the episode notes. We say it almost every time, but it's really true. The best way to help our show grow is to tell a friend. And hey, now you've got an entire new story to listen to all at once, if that's your style. So tell a friend, tell a family member, tell a coworker about our show. And also, while you're at it, leave us a review. What was your favorite moment from this story? Did I make you cry? If so, I'm sorry, but also, yes! Our next story. If you like the goofs, you're in for a treat. There's some really insane world building that we've done on this next one that is like some of my favorite. I think we've come up with what is my favorite running bit. It's even better than butter salad, which, you know, maybe that's heresy. I don't know. Jacob might be throwing hands at me for that one. But anyway, as I'm recording this, we're in the middle of recording that story, and so far it's just been a total heckin' blast. It will be coming soon. Keep your eyes and ears on our social media for when we will be sharing the release date for that next story. In the meantime, pour me a cold one, will ya? That's all I'll say. I love you. Bye.